Hey y'all, we are tackling Guerrilla episode 3 and 4. We're coming at you.
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
It's like the Warrior song before Lauren went off the hill.
I feel how Lauren felt when she went off the hill. That's why I've got my hoodie on.
Hey, y'all, my name is TK Trinidad. Thank you for rocking with us. Let's first introduce my lovely co-host.
Just feeling the beat. Hey, guys. It's Miss Candi Marie. And you can find me on IG at Miss Candi Marie.
I don't know how I
And on Twitter, Sweet Candor TV.
Oh my gosh.
Back to you, TK.
I don't know how I don't know. Thanks, AfterBuzz. Every show. My name is TK Trinidad. You can find me on everything at TK Trinidad. So Al is on his way, or hopefully the LA traffic, but we're gonna hold it down for him. So what do you think of episode 3 and 4?
Well, oh my gosh. You know what? Episode 3 and 4 actually inspired my look today, TK.
Oh.
It did.
Something else, but okay.
You know, and the funny thing is I just caught up on episode 3 and 4 today. But I just knew that this would be channeled. So I felt like this would be appropriate for 3 and 4. But to answer your question, you know what? Episode 3 was a little slow for me. You know, 4 really started to pick up. You know, it really started to get me on the edge of my seat. You know, I feel like this is where we really start to see them form. We really start to see them come together and form. So I was just thinking it's about time.
See, I don't know. It's kind of, I felt the same way, but it's going to go one of two things. And I think it's going to go the latter, meaning that, you know, they didn't start with a plan. It wasn't execute, like they thought they had a plan, but now they're at a certain point, and now everybody doesn't know what is to be done. They're doing some things, but you know, is it going to really make a difference? And in the end, you know, will some of these characters die for like nothing? Like, yeah, they've done something here and there, but to like the cause on a whole, you know, would they have changed anything? So that's kind of my concern for that. So it's just kind of, I hope the series doesn't end on a down note, which I can see it being. But, you know, we'll see.
You know what? You're right. We will see. And one thing that you said, I have to agree with. A lot of people are dying for a cause or not dying for a cause. And I feel like in their heart, they feel like regardless, I stood up for something.
Right.
You know, and it is so unfortunate that so many people lose their lives every single day. But I really hope that regardless of who passes away throughout this series, and it's just that good, guys, that they're at peace.
Yeah. Well,
with their decisions.
Yeah, it's one of those things like where you think about any major thing or even minor thing that's happened. In order for change to come, you have to do something. And even though, so for instance, if they pass away and then it kind of channels other people to take up the cause, then it would have been done for something.
Right.
But they pass away and then everybody just goes back to the way things are as far as the immigration, then it'd be for nothing. So that's why where, you know, because I know, well, we'll get into that, but it's just kind of like where you almost need that balance of, you know, doing something rash, but also have a plan as well.
Right.
And, you know, it doesn't.
But you know, the beautiful thing about going back to the work that Jas and Dahari and Marcus have done is that they actually have something that's tangible that they can hold in their hand. I thought it was really, really dope how it was revealed. And you know what's crazy is I can't remember if it was in episode 3 or 4. It was revealed that Marcus actually wrote Dahari's book.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I hope I wasn't the only one that was like caught off guard. I did not know that.
But I don't know, like I was surprised surprised, but I wasn't surprised because now you see how
Why he's so invested. Why Marcus is so invested in Dahari.
we're gonna go. Let's just talk about Marcus and Dahari. So now you see, because you remember, like I think episode 1, Marcus was going into the jail all the time, and he was like showing off the book and all this other stuff.
And he knew so much about Dahari.
Exactly. So but then you see kind of, and you know, everybody has nobody's perfect. Everybody has something about them that, it's just like, oh, that's kind of odd. And you can kind of see the things about Dahari, like even when he made reference, it's not funny, but when he made reference to Jas, where he's like, I've been in jail for, I think, 7 or 8 years. Like, I don't care who you are, as long as it's wet, I'm in there.
Dude, listen to me. If I were Marcus, I would have hit him in his face. And I think that's what Jas wanted. And I get that.
Yeah.
But this is your woman. This man just blatantly disrespected your woman in your face.
Right.
And Jas had every right to be angry with him. How dare you allow this man to disrespect me like that? You stand there like a, ooh.
I agree.
I'm just going to say a word.
I agree with you. However, you can't expect somebody to be outside of their character. So, for instance, right, like Marcus is very docile, and not docile like, he's weak, but he's educated. Not to say that you can't, you see what I'm saying? Like he's like, for instance, the passion that Jas showed in reading, what the Black Army faction is about versus how Marcus started off. You can see there's a difference. Like he is more, if you put him in the corner and say, like, just put the plans together and gave him some time to actually think about, like, planning without the pressure of dying and, police running after him, he'd probably be the good backbone. Like, he's a good executive producer in the background doing the stuff.
Yeah.
So that's his thing. So for her to expect him to stand up when that's not in his nature.
Well, you know what? He just lost Jas. A piece of Jas just... like he just left a piece of her heart.
Oh,
and I will say this: an alpha woman does not want no weak ass man.
Yeah, but you also know,
and Jas is an alpha woman.
I agree, but she should have known. She was in hopes of, like, she dated him in hopes of, like, he showed his passion for the movement, but then she also added all these other things that she was expecting him to be, and that's not him.
Well, I mean, that's what we do as women. Behind every great man, there's a woman holding it down or putting in the work and all that other stuff.
Right, but if your man can't hold a credit card and then you clean up his credit and then he messes up the credit again, whose fault is that?
I agree, but all I'm saying is that he can't get mad if she starts to walk away.
No. But he's not gonna. They both don't see. I think with the the relationship that they're in right now. It's it's so stressed and fragmented with everything that's gone on. They can't really assess everything because he's thinking he's behind the movement where there's a lot of holes in there.
But if you think about it, it's called the Jas Mitra Gang.
Oh. No. It's the Bissam Matra gang. So it's Dahari's last name and Jas's last name gang.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, there it is. Well, there it is. Yeah. Marcus who? You know what? And let's step back for a second. Pence.
So
let's
Pence.
talk about Pence.
It's he's such in a weird situation. I think he's just losing his his cool with everything. So we introduced, so it's is it Detective Pence? Officer Pence. And his son Ronnie has a whole issue with alcohol and stuff like that. And they've decided, I don't know if they do this today, I highly doubt it, but they've decided to kind of put him in treatment. And the treatment requires him to be in this room, and they give him a little bit of the substance that he's addicted to. I believe it's like cocaine and alcohol and stuff like that. And then they give him like a pill that makes him throw up. Like, not only does he throw up, he throws up like it's just one of those projectile throw ups, and he just sits in it until they wash him off.
That's disgusting. And how, I get it. I get it. But how is that? Is it a whole mental thing?
It's supposed to be that when the treatment's done, anytime he sees or wants to take the substance, it's automatically gonna, like, his body's automatically gonna tell him not to, because it's gonna think of the pain that was
in that moment.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like, that is aggressive.
Yeah, but it's kind of funny because there's another show that I was doing. They use the same type of treatment where you drink something and it makes you throw up. So anytime you have certain thoughts, you drink it, it makes you throw up. So I think that's just common for pretty much any addiction, like in that time.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Listen to me. You all better have been clean back then, because that is a harsh freaking AA to go through. Like, that is what you call rehabilitation.
Yeah.
Like, they get straight to the point.
But it's kind of funny with that because they didn't look at why he's doing it.
True.
Like, how did he get to this point? Like, is it daddy issues? Pence is not home as often. Is his mother not looking at him as well? Or did he have something that happened at school? Like, they didn't really look at that. They're like, okay, well, he needs treatment. Here's the treatment.
Stick him in here.
Yeah, and then Pence is, saying no. It's kind of funny how Pence is like saying no, and the mom's like, well, you don't have to deal with it. So.
Yeah, because he hasn't been there.
Well, yes.
He's been working. In other words, you haven't done a damn thing for your son.
He's been working, and he's
so
supposed
pay
to be working
like you always do.
On Kenya.
Exactly, and guess what? She knows that too. A woman always knows. And speaking of a woman, I have to listen, guys. I have to admire my beautiful co-host sitting next to me. She looks fabulous. You look amazing today.
Oh, thank you.
From hair
Appreciate
to your face, everything, your outfit. Girl, you're looking good, girl. I have to say.
As do you.
Listen, guys, this is a hoodie day, okay? We do hoodie days for a reason. I'm supporting the cause and everything. I got on my, look, I even have on my Spider-Man shirt. You guys see Spider-Man? Okay, I have
They're
to
not
show you
looking
guys
at
really
Spider-Man. I can guarantee you that.
I was trying to connect with my inner Spidey.
So Pence, yes, he is working, but also he is working with Kenya. So he's getting frustrated. They can't find out where Jas and Marcus and Dahari are. He's trying to get Kenya to, put her ear to the ground and essentially snitch them out. And it's kind of funny because he goes there, and I guess he's unexpected. And what my question was, is Kenya a call girl or...
Kenya is whatever Pence wants her to be.
No, because when he told her, who do you have coming over, is it a caller? That's when it made me question, like, does she also take other guys? Because then he made her call Bob Smith, who was supposed to come over that night, and tell him, you can't come over, I'm busy.
Is that what happened?
Yeah.
I feel like that happened because maybe for the first time she was starting to date.
No.
And I felt like Pence didn't like it. So that's why Pence was like, call him, because he was supposed to come over so
yeah, but they already hung out. Because when she said, I can't do this anymore, and then he was telling her what other stuff that said she couldn't do it. So I don't know if she's like a prostitute or like...
Listen, she's all of the above. I do not like her informant behind. First of all, like...
She's supporting her son.
I just don't like her. I've never liked her character. I get it. I get what she's doing, but there are other ways to support. I think she's an evil, conniving woman that, I don't have any words for her.
Do you think that she's regretting it? Because the fact that, like, I'm sure she can
I don't think she regrets it.
I don't know. I'm sure she can get information on where they are from, like where Marcus and Jas are, or find somebody who might know and point Pence in the right direction. But I think she's now seeing.
But I think people aren't dumb. I think the streets know that she's an informant. That's one thing. She's probably always been this type of woman.
Right.
And the streets know that. So, of course, if she asks, like, the only people she's probably going to get any information out of are the weak ones. But the ones that are about the struggle, you have to think about at what place and time that they're sick and tired of the police abusing them. And this was any black person or minority person that the police saw. It doesn't matter who they are.
Right.
All they saw was color. And people are tired of that.
But they did find when she found somebody who was willing to give up information and pay them. So not everybody's that strong. Right. So that's why it leads me to believe that she's not trying that hard, because she doesn't want to help him find them, because she's seeing everything that's happening. Like maybe 5 years ago, it wasn't as bad, but now they're raiding black communities, and they're kind of after them with such they're not going to come out alive. Maybe she's
they're hunting them down.
Figuring that she can't do that.
And then, not to mention, I think she's starting to understand all that she is to him. This man has fathered your child.
Has he confirmed that?
No, he is, because the boy, when he said the boy, I want to give him a kiss on the cheek, she said no. The only reason why he wants to do that is because that's his son. He doesn't go around just kissing little black boys.
I don't know.
No, he does it, and then the little boy is mixed. I mean, well, shoot, I wouldn't put it past Kenya for her to be sleeping around with another white cop. But,
Right.
you know, just in reference to connecting the dots, I feel like that is his son.
Huh.
It would, honestly, it would make sense.
It would. It would up until the point where it sounded like she was a call girl.
You know what? She might just be a call girl.
Yeah. I don't know.
You know what? I think, look, she is all of the above to me. I don't like you, Kenya. Look at me.
Oh my.
I don't like you. Okay? I don't.
Just a side note, Al sent this over, and it's kind of he sent it over and he's supposed to talk about it, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit. UK Black Panther by the name of Darkest Howie. He's originally from Trinidad. He was really big into the movement in the UK. He actually recently passed away, like April 1st, 2017. Oh, wow. So there was a whole bunch of stories about him. So we'll get into more about that when Al's in next week. But just kind of want to, you know, just you guys look up that name, because I was reading up some stuff on him and I didn't even realize, you know, he was very, he was very into the movement, to the point where they're having a story about him. Ooh, look at that.
This is awesome.
Yeah. So like I said, he's originally from Trinidad. He went to the U.S. and actually met a couple of the Black Panthers, which inspired him for the movement into the U.K.
Wow.
And he did a lot of great things. Or let me not say great, because I don't know his story just yet, but he did a lot of things for the movements in the 70s and 80s, and he just recently passed away. So
wow. And you know what? This is like exactly one of the things that I love about, you know, this show, is that you learn so much.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like I had no idea all that was going on in the 1970s in London. And, you know, now just to, like, this is literally the face of that movement.
Right.
You know, and that's so inspiring, and it's also an educational piece, you know, and I hope that you guys can take the time to check out his story, because, you know, this is pretty awesome.
Yeah, and even the little things, like even when Jess was talking to Marcus and saying, like, you don't really understand because you were born in the UK, which, you know, yes and no, because Marcus is like, no, they don't see that. They just see my skin.
Right.
So it's just
That's it.
Yeah, all these things where I feel like that's how it is today, where a lot of folks are just like, oh, well, you don't understand. It's like, yes, I do, to an extent. Let me be empathetic to it.
This is my thing. And this is how I always feel when people says, you don't understand. Well, help me to understand.
Right.
Then. If I don't understand, help me to understand. I feel like that's all the movement is. Even with what they were trying to do, they were trying to lead by action.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I love their characters. One thing I do want to touch on is Elliot. Yes. And I feel like Elliot, what she was doing for Jas was just such a great thing, just to see two women, two strong alpha women coming together, because I think she also added another layer to Jas's character.
Well, she added another layer to, it feels like, as far as fighting for what you believe in. Like, I had no idea that there was the political party. I was looking it up, Fleur de Quebec. Front de la Quebec, I'm saying completely wrong. But I had no idea. Like, I've heard that Quebec always wanted to splinter off from Canada. Like, that's been something that's been talked about a long time. But as far, I looked it up, and there was like bombings, there was kidnappings, there was, you know, stuff about that, which is really, really interesting, because it makes me want to learn more. Like, I had no idea that was an element as far as Canadian history. So, you know, her bringing that to the UK and then talking to Jess and then inspiring her to, you know, kind of pick up and become a soldier was great. However, it's kind of like they're in the movement. And then to make matters a little bit more difficult, it seems like she was on her own agenda. It's like she was, we can...
In reference to Dahari, Jas, and...
Yeah, so what happens is So Dahari, we're kind of jumping all over the place. So Dahari, Marcus, and Jas, they make a deal with the Germans. The Germans are putting up in a safe house in exchange for, you know, helping the Germans do certain things. Yeah. Then kind of a little fast forward a little bit, Marcus, Dahari, and Jas decide that they're going to kind of not stick up, but pretty much shoot up a lot of these travel agencies because nobody knows who Elliot is. They had her be the driver. So the whole thing was she's going to drive with it. They're going to, Jas, Marcus, and Dahari are going to split up, shoot up these agencies, and within 5 minutes meet. And then she was going to pick them up and they were going to be off.
Right.
So she splintered off that plan because she had her own agenda as far as, you know, being part of this, I believe it's the 7th wave, and she went into the Canadian travel place and shot it up. The only problem was that the cops were looking at that spot and she ended up getting shot, which is the thing is, you know, did she really do justice for her cause? Because she got, she was able to go to, I believe it was either Algeria to study as a soldier and then eventually come back to Canada to fight the cause, and instead she didn't stick to the plan and she got shot. And was there a reason for it?
Man, like, you know what, I felt like that hurt. I feel like in her heart she felt like she stood for something and she died you know, the death that she wanted to die.
See, but then that comes off as a little bit selfish.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I respected her character, even the way that she died. I respected it. You know, it was on her terms.
Right.
You know, she took every single bullet. She walked her way through it. She didn't run.
Right.
You know, she didn't run for shelter. She took it.
Right.
She took it all the way until the very end. She took it like a boss. I was like, you know what, Elliot, you are one badass chick.
It's kind of like.
So you feel like she died for nothing?
Because at the end of the day, who knew she was there? As far as, you know, from her party, the apparently the police who shot her had no idea who she was. So she didn't make an impact in her party just yet. So she believed in the party, she believed in the cause, and she set out to do a plan. So it's like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And she agreed to stay for this moment to help them.
But don't forget, she did state her proclamation. Everybody did the same thing. Everybody stated their proclamation before they started to shoot.
Right. But who's there to, like, you state your proclamation?
It was a room full of people. Of course, they're gonna ask what happened.
Right.
And that's going to be, when the press puts out the story, that's going to be a part of the story.
I wonder how the press puts out the story, though.
That's a great, yeah. You're listen, guys, it's been a long day, okay? So,
because you have to think about it. We were talking about something as far as like oral storytelling and stuff like that. It was a comment from another show, and you have to think about everything that we're learning that are in textbooks now.
Right.
So, you know, the slave trade in a lot of textbooks is no longer being called the slave trade. It's being called something else. A lot of things that people are learning or not even learning is being written by somebody, like, you know, in the textbook company. So are we still maintaining the history of these events that happen beyond black, white, whatever? It's just like, who's telling these stories, and is somebody making sure that these stories are accurate? Because when we're gone, like, who's to say this is true or not?
Well, I will say this. Sometimes people create things so that they can spark ideas. And I think that, prime example, what she did show successful even with you. How did you know that there was even an issue going on in Quebec?
Right.
Until she said something. That led you to go and research to find out what was going on.
This is 2017.
And I get that.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes it just takes like that proclamation that she stated. I think that was like a way of, hey, this is what I'm standing for. And in Quebec.
Right.
That's going to, of course, when they publish the story, and the headline is going to read, it's going to say woman shot to death, but it's also going to say what her last words were.
See, I don't know about that. I don't know if the last words.
I mean, I guess we can only hope.
Right.
But I feel that
if you were a country, right? So say you're on the side of, as far as the government, and you don't want obviously any riots, you don't want anything going on, and you know or even take the country away. You're part of the newspaper. You don't want to be the one to incite riots because of this. Would you essentially tell the story as a woman, she was disgruntled, she shot up the place, and like Because if I'm on that side, as far as the newspaper,
they're gonna ask why was she disgruntled, and when they say why was she disgruntled, they're going to say that,
or they can say mentally,
they're going to
the mental issues.
And this is very, very true.
Because a lot of people say that.
We also cannot forget the time in which this was occurring.
Mm-hmm.
This was in the 1970s. They were the ones that created the movement.
Right.
They were the ones that brought the movement to London.
Mm-hmm.
There was no movement before then, so this is a big deal. It's going to create awareness because it's such a big deal. They are the first of their kind in London.
Yeah.
They brought the movement. They are the ones.
Wait, are you talking about the Canadian? Are you talking about the Canadian? Are you talking about Elliot? Or are you talking about?
Yeah, I'm talking about Dahari, Jas,
okay,
and our boy Marcus.
Yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. And I'm also talking about Elliot simply because technically, you know, she for this episode, she kind of joined forces with them.
Right.
So it's like, no matter what they do, they're going to make headlines because it's something that hasn't been done before.
Right. I don't know. We'll see. I hope in the next episode they actually see, or the next 2 episodes they show if it kind of affected something.
Right. I mean, I hope so.
Because if they don't, I feel like then that storyline is lost.
Because at first, I agree with you. And I think you said this in our last show, that it's starting to feel like they're doing all of this for nothing.
Right.
But now I really, like, I would like to see how the community is reacting. And that's something that we don't see a lot of. All we know is that, you know, there's this book that Dahari, quote unquote, wrote that we have now found out that it was actually Marcus.
Right.
It's in every single, so they have
Community
this tangible item that can be passed along, which is one of the smartest things that they could have ever done. But now, are people doing more than just reading? Or are they actually taking action?
Well, then you have the opposite of that, Kent, who has a bigger, well, I don't know if you have a bigger stage. It's kind of one of those things. Because he has a bigger stage as far as different communities. So Kent's on TV now, and he's essentially saying that, you know, Marcus, Jas, and Dahari are thugs. They're nothing more than thugs. They're not. They're not about the movement, because people are about the movement when incite violence. So, and that's impacting. So Dahari's books is in the Black community, in, you know, coffee shops and all this other stuff. However, Kent is now talking to the masses, the people who are not, you know, in that particular community but are living in London. Right. So it's going to be interesting to see how, I don't know, how, like, if there's going to be a cause for him to steer people the other direction, like a more of a nonviolent. Because even when Marcus's parents were on television, they were very disappointed because they were like, they didn't bring him up that way, and he's educated, and if you have issues, you handle it in an educated fashion versus, you know,
I know
shooting
that. I know
people.
that had to hurt.
Yeah.
When they said that, shameful.
Yeah.
And his father said shameful. Wow. Now, to go back to Kent really quickly, Kent, to me, I'm starting not to like his character, and he's starting to come off to me like a puppet.
Oh, like, of course. Omega's definitely...
Like, it's just like, man, come on, Kent. Like, I expected more out of your character. Like, what is going on with you? But not to mention, like, he believes in this stuff. Like, he believed in this stuff even before. Like, when Jas approached him and she was like, help me, she begged this man to help her. This is supposed to be somebody that you're in love with. Listen, dude, I know that you don't agree with it. And I guess he feels like, okay, I don't want to fund, you know, this cause. And he just doesn't believe in it at all. But I feel like he's literally just being a puppet. And, you know, he's doing everything that the police are basically telling him to do, without telling him to do it.
Well, there's a couple of things. I think with Kent, he obviously lives in a better lifestyle as far as economic. Right. So, you know, again, you can have that today.
That's a great observation.
You have people who are living well. They don't want to rock. Take OJ. If you watch the whole thing with, you know, he didn't want to rock the boat when that was happening with the LA riots, or even prior to that, he didn't want to talk about it. So it's the same thing. If you're at a certain status, you want to risk your status because, you know, you're going to lose these opportunities or lose the funding that's coming in.
How do you feel about that?
I mean, looking at certain things that's happened and how certain individuals act and react, I am a strong proponent of creating your own funding your own reality, your own business, where you're not, where somebody can't come and steal your fortune.
Right.
So I'm more about creating an empire and a legacy versus working for an individual.
Right.
So, you know, when it comes time for me to do whatever I need to do, whatever side I'm on, it's not going to affect my family to that extent because there's going to be something there. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely see on both sides as far as people who, like, you're genuinely afraid, because you think about it, as far as minorities are concerned, they're probably first generation, so they don't have anything to fall back on.
Absolutely.
So if somebody were literally take away, so take gosh, what's her name? Fallon. So she comes from an Irish background. Her parents probably just came to the UK. She's considered, the Irish folks in the UK are considered just as much of a minority as everybody else is.
Right.
And, you know, the police came into her job and she lost her job. And she has nothing to fall back on because nobody wants to work with her.
Right.
So it's not like now you're looking at, okay, if I say anything, then, you know, I might lose my job, and how am I going to pay the bills, and how am I going to do this? And then that, in fact, leads you to do illegal things, which is the whole thing that you didn't want to do in the first place. Yeah. So it's kind of, you know, for people who think that far ahead, it's definitely hard to do, especially if you have a couple children or somebody you're taking care of. So I can understand it. But then if you choose to be on the sidelines, then don't try to speak on the issue.
Right, right.
Exactly.
Kind of, if you choose.
Yeah.
If you have chosen that, then shut up.
Yeah. Don't say, well, you guys shouldn't be doing this. It's like, no, because they chose to be a part of the movement.
Technically, you didn't want to have anything to do with this, so don't come over here. You know what? I will say, I feel that it's so unfortunate because I feel like Fallon's character has gotten beaten up. Oh. Like, since day one, you know? Yeah. Like, you're out with the love of your life and you watch him get murdered. Yeah. You know, like, she just can't catch a break. But what I think would be very smart is to see, and maybe this might be a prediction, I think it would be really smart if she were to join forces with Jas and Dahar. I'm sorry, is it the what is it called? What is the gang?
Oh, the Bishop Mitra gang.
I feel like it would be in her best interest to do that, because they're already approaching her on some, you know, oh, we know you know something, and they're beating her up in bars, and you know, like, come on, like, really, girl?
I don't know. It would be, but I don't think that's in her character, meaning that she's just afraid. When she even mentioned that Jess has always been the stronger one.
When you get, like, sick and tired. Like, when do you get tired of all of it?
Well, some people get sick and tired and do nothing, and then some people get sick and tired and do something. Mm-hmm. So, you know, she did, or they're just too afraid that they believe that living their life in fear is better than not living at all.
And no. And that to me is why I love, you know, the show. I love the show, and it's like, I didn't know that Jas was only 20 years old. Mm-hmm. Come on. You know, she's only 20 years old. How many 20-year-olds do you know these days that are doing the same things that she's doing?
Well, I
can't name any.
Yeah, well, everything that we're doing everything has gotten so much older. So you have people who are still living with their parents and they're 30 years old. You had back in the day, you know, people were having kids at 21, 22 and still functioning and, you know, handling their business. Right. Whereas now people are waiting. And of course it's economics. Not finding a job, like all those stuff play a huge role in today's society. Yeah. Because, you know, both my parents, not college, they both went to 2-year universities. My mom worked for the government for 30 plus years. My dad ran his own business on a 2-year college, you know, education. So, but they started working as soon as they finished college. Yeah. Whereas for me, when I graduated, it took me almost 2 years to find something decent. Right. And that wasn't even in my field. Right. That was just because, you know what, I'm not going to wait. I'm going to make money. Right. So, you know, it's just kind of, you know, it's just a different environment. So now when you're trying to chase the dream and you can't even get to the dream, now for you to stand up for a cause, it's kind of, you know what I'm saying? It's, I see it both ways. I definitely agree with you. Like, you know, there's 20-year-olds are not talking about, not as many as there used to be.
No, not at all.
And you know.
And that's so unfortunate. Like, we need more game changers. We need more people that are willing to die for something. It's actually very interesting because I had this conversation on Instagram Live the other day, and I was just talking about, what are you willing to die for? Right. And when I put that audience, you know, to my audience, when I put that question to my audience, sorry guys, when I put that question to my audience, you know, nobody responded. You know, what are you guys willing to die for?
Right.
You know, first of all, what are you willing to be passionate about?
Well, I think even just something on a simpler level for 2017 is, you know, community service.
Hello. But that's a whole nother show. That's a whole nother show and a whole nother topic.
Yeah, it is. I mean, that's, you know, that's something I just find, I can only speak to LA in particular. I just find that there's some individuals who are very passionate about it, and then there's no in between. There's people who do it and people who don't do it. Yeah. And I think if people just did a little bit of community service, then you become more empathetic to the situations.
If you just picked up the garbage in your neighborhood, picked up the garbage that you walk past when you're walking down the sidewalk.
Well, I mean, if you live in Beverly Hills, then it's not as effective. But, you know, I see what you're saying.
In your neighborhood, you know, like if it's your neighborhood, just simply take pride in what's yours. Own it. You know, like rather than if you're going to go and riot and loot, why would you go and riot and loot to your corner store that you go to every single day?
Oh, let's move on. Let's move on.
Hey, but see, you know what? We can't. Like, nobody wants to hear the realness. Nobody wants to hear it.
So we leave off where what's her name? Elliot has died. Jas confronts Jas confronts Kent to see if he ratted them out, and essentially,
wow, that moment was powerful. Though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm surprised that she's surprised.
She still loves him.
Well, just because you love somebody doesn't mean. Well, she's 20. Just because you love somebody doesn't mean that you like. Yeah, I love you, but
so
you're still a douchebag.
So you think she should have taken him out?
I don't think she should have taken him out. I don't even know why she was there in the first place. Like it was one of those things where somebody's known for doing.
I think it was like she wanted to threaten him.
Oh well.
I think that's what she thought she was doing.
Oh well.
She wanted to threaten him. She wanted to make her presence known. Like, we see you. We hear what you're doing. Stop it.
Yeah.
Like we saw. Like, I thought it was really cool how they did that shot where they zoomed in on her hand, and you could basically see her hand contemplating the trigger. Right. Should I pull this trigger or not?
I don't
like
think
that to me was like, wow. It showed the confliction that she has between what she's standing for and the love that she still has for him. Right. Well, at least that's what I saw.
I think it's just so frustrating with her because I can see her passion, but there's the direction, like and especially with Elliot telling her, like, you know, yeah, the fact that you shot up the house, it wasn't planned, but, you know, sometimes something that's unorganized is effective. And yeah, that's great, but it's almost telling somebody, like, you can be unorganized all the time. Like the fact that she went and told Marcus, like, I'm going with Elliot to go with the soldier. You can't do that. Like you, and then it's so funny to me on a comical note. Like I wonder if Marcus just looks back at, like, I don't know how long they were dating, like 3 or 4 years, and say, man, I wish I never met this woman because I'm in this position now because of her decisions. Like it was her decision to go and break out to Hari. It was her decision to go to the hospital. It was all this stuff. Whereas he could have been trying to fight the movement from a different perspective. So it's like let's not take away his passion for the movement. It's just that he didn't want to be killing people. So I mean, that's a whole nother.
He wanted to do it. He wanted to do it the right way. Which,
well, I mean,
right is there really
right
a right
wrong,
way?
That's relative. Yeah.
Especially in the 1970s, considering everything that is going on. Whose way is the right way?
Right.
Who's to say that the right way ain't really the wrong way?
Well, just the way in general.
Hello.
So if he, you know, was to write more or to do whatever or to, you know, let people know about the movement in his way, that would have been just as effective as just going in and shooting the house. But she would have done it on her own instead of dragging him in it. That's because that's what I was thinking. I was like, man, his life would be so much different if he didn't know her. But so now they shot up the place. Everybody's looking for them. Even Leroy, the cops got to Leroy's house. So Leroy's outed now too. They go to Bailey, which is, I guess, a friend of theirs. And Bailey agrees to put them up in a room for 4 days. So they have 4 days to figure out what their next move is, which is not a lot of time.
Not at all.
So
especially when you are going around shooting up places and your faces are all over the TV
all over the place.
Later.
So what are your predictions?
My prediction is that we're going to really see...
Your AfterBuzz
She's like,
TV.
I'm bypassing this. I'm just gonna steamroll through these predictions.
You know what, guys? I love you all, okay? I'm just going to send some positivity y'all's way. I just want to say that I think it's really dope that we've seen Jas's character evolve a little more. She's turning into more and more of a badass every single day. I think that there's going to be a power struggle just a little bit because of that. Because, again, one thing that we have mentioned in the past is we don't see a lot of women in leadership, especially, you know, in the Black Panther movement. You know, and she's not even a Black woman in leadership. But I think there's going to be some power struggles between her and Dahari, or maybe even, hell, her and Dahari hooking up. I could see that too. I could see that too.
Yeah.
I could see that too. And honestly, it was really, really nice also to see Marcus's character just be a little more aggressive. And even when he got into that argument with her, you know, like, there was still another side that we hadn't seen of Marcus yet, which I thought, you know, made him come off more as a leader, but I still think he has a lot of growing to go. Well,
I think he's just put in a predicament that he just didn't expect to be in. Yeah, like I said in the beginning of the show, it can definitely go either way. Like, Dahari is definitely brilliant as far as his passion for the movement. However, I kind of think he's full of himself in a certain aspect. Yeah. Where that might be his hindrance. Like, everybody has some type of hindrance. So that's definitely Dahari's hindrance. Marcus's hindrance is that, you know, he doesn't want to be in this predicament, but yet still he is in the predicament, and he's trying to figure out a way to do it. It's, instead of saying, I'm here, let me just jump in with both feet because there's nowhere else for me to go, essentially. And then Jas is just the type of person that she just doesn't think things through. She's not patient. No. So I kind of, if everybody got rid of their, like, were able to self-analyze and get rid of those things, they could come together and actually do something that's effective. Yeah. So that will be the positive, because we only have 2 episodes left. Yeah. The negative is that they don't, and everything falls apart.
2 episodes?
Yes, 2 episodes left. So everything will fall apart, and then it'll be fractured. Wow. So it can go either way, and I think either way will be really visually and story-wise, it'd be great. Like, you know, you see some shows, it's like, oh, well, if they do this, then it's not as... Well, I will say this, and this is the last thing that I'll say before we wrap it up. I think the fact that Dahari and Jas are the official face of their movement. What's the name? Is it Bishop Mitra Gang? Mitra, yeah. Bishop Mitra Gang. That speaks for itself. Which still takes away... That speaks for itself. But this is the problem, though. Then that takes away from the... Because when you do Black Army Faction, that is inclusive. When you do Bishop Mitra, that means that they're doing this on their own, and they're supposedly fighting for you, but they're really not. Right. So that might be an issue in itself as far as the community backing you. So I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, then I think they're going to rev it up. I think the 3rd episode was, you know, prepping us. The 4th one is like, okay, they're positioning us. And the next 2 are going to be like, okay, this is what's happening. And I expect a lot of gun battles and people dying and hopefully some change. Amen. Hopefully. I really, really hope so, because I want to see them win. I love the fact, again, that they're so young and they're standing up for a cause they're willing to die for. Well, I mean, we've got comfortable. Oh my gosh. But where can people find you? Hey guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I am Miss Candi Marie, and you can find me on Instagram at Miss Candi Marie and on Twitter at Sweet Candora TV. And you guys can find me at TK Trinidad on everything Trinidad, like the country. Definitely keep all those comments coming. We love reading them. Also on iTunes, 5 stars or better. Follow AfterBuzz TV on everything as well. Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. We love hearing from you. So we will check you out next week. Yeah. Ciao, guys. Bye, guys.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.